Welcome to the board.
Yes, or any of us.
I wasn't aware that there was a situation.
Good afternoon. I'll call the meeting to order. And the first thing we're going to do is recognize former Governor Michael Franks. Mike, would you come up here for a minute or two? Mike was first appointed September 2015, right? Has just recently resigned because he doesn't like us anymore. Actually, he's decided he likes Tammy a lot more than he likes us, and so they've, in fact, the only place I could find Mike over the past several months was in his RV somewhere in Michigan or Minnesota or somewhere like that. Anyway, I'll read this quickly. It says, in recognition of exemplary service and dedication to Missouri Southern State University as a member of the Board of Governors, appointed September 11, 2015. Thank you. I want to, Mike has done a lot of really great things for this university and for the rest of us on the board. But one of the things that Rob Yust reminded me of it much is, it was through Mike's efforts to spearhead Missouri's going to a self-funded health insurance model. And it was a real passion of his. I'd forgotten about those meetings until Rob reminded me of this much. But he was really a pain in the butt about it. About Missouri Southern.
I didn't say that. I didn't say that.
He did. About Missouri Southern moving to the self-insurance model on health insurance. And Mike, thank you for that. Thank you for being a pain in the butt sometimes about the things that you're passionate about. But we truly appreciate your passion. Alan, did you want to add anything?
Yeah, I appreciate what you brought to the board and your experience from Missouri State earlier. And understanding higher education in general, and working on the blueprint for Missouri, and all the things you've done for us. We really appreciate it.
Anything else?
You know, the only thing I'll say is two things. First of all, the board that I served on, I was very fortunate to serve with people who I truly believe are here only for the interests of the university, the students, the faculty, and the people of Missouri they serve. I've always felt that from the first time I got on this board, and that's not a universal experience for people in life, but it has certainly been my experience on this board. And secondarily, there have been articles recently in the Globe talking about historic underfunding of higher education, and I don't want to get into that too much, but I want to say this, and you guys have unfortunately had to hear me say this before. We're entering a world in which we will, as a country, at some point discover that we have to have lifelong education, and that we will serve people of all walks of life, of all ages in life in this institution, because we all need to keep adapting and growing our skill sets. That's the way the world is that we live in at this point. Change occurs at a much more rapid rate. Your skill sets can become obsolete or just simply not state of the art, and this institution will be key to that effort. And as soon as we figure that out as a state, as a country, this institution's importance, which is vital, will simply grow. And we'll get there someday. I truly believe that, and we'll be really happy that this institution is here to build on. So that's my 2 cents of the whole thing. This pain in the butt will now take us out.
Thank you.
We got a new pain in the butt here, though.
Well, thank you for that segue, former Governor Franks. I'd like to welcome our two newest board members, former State Senator Ron Richard. Ron, do you have anything you want to say? Now's your chance. You have the floor.
Thanks. It's an honor to be with you all. And I'll say one thing about Mike Franks. He was instrumental in putting together Nixon Hall. We had a lot of meetings with him, Dr. Marble, and you, Bill, and Governor Nixon, and Governor Parson. And so we still have a relationship with all those, and hopefully we can do another deal one of these days.
Yeah. Well, welcome.
Thank you.
And Mariann Morgan. Mariann, would you like to say anything?
Just thank you for inviting me to join, and I'm looking forward to the opportunity.
Excellent, thank you. Welcome to both of you. The first order of business is to take up the minutes of September 19. Entertain a motion. Oh, just a minute. I also want to recognize Darren Burr and Dr. Beverly Block, representing the Missouri Southern Foundation, are with us here today. Would you raise your hands or stand up? Thanks to both of you for joining us here today. Now, the minutes of September 19th, 2019. I'd entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
That's a motion by Governor Oplotnik. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Governor Haley. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Linda, your report.
Thank you and good afternoon. We'll look at the financial statements as of October 31 of 2019. As always, we start with the cash graph, and the balance at the end of that period is showing $15.6 million. And it's always interesting to me, I always look at what the cash balance is in the bank at the day of the board meeting, and the cash balance as of today is at $18.8 million. So you can see there's a lot of fluctuation between when fees are paid and payrolls paid out. So it just fluctuates pretty much every day, but that's where we are at the end of October. When we look at the statement of net positions, we have total assets that are at $166 million. We have total liabilities that are $99 million, which leaves us with net assets of $67 million. The next statement that we look at is the comparative statement of revenues, expenses, and changes in net position. We have total operating revenues that shows a decrease of about $600,000. We have operating expenses that have increased about $1 million. We have non-operating revenue that's increased a little over $500,000, with a chunk of that being, you can see on there, the state appropriations have additional money over the prior year of about $250,000. Then we look at the income before other revenues, and in the current year, it is at $4.7 million. The prior year was at $6 million, and this leaves us with a decrease over the prior year of about $1 million. Other things that are going on in our office is we've been working on the bond issuance and finalizing the FY19 audit that we'll talk about a little bit later in the meeting. I'll entertain any questions.
Are there any questions for Linda? Thank you. Hearing none, I entertain a motion to accept the treasurer's report.
So moved.
Motion by Governor Haley. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Governor Elliott. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And motion carried. Now we'll hear from the Vice President for Business Affairs, Mr. Yust.
Thank you. Do a brief construction report. The subcontractor bids have been received on a new residence hall that we're constructing, and they're finalizing those, and the project should begin ramping up in a couple of weeks. We'll most likely have groundbreaking officially in a couple of weeks. I think working with Mr. Fullerton's office and Heather to schedule that. So we'll that thing will be ramping up heavily. You'll see a lot of activity over there in the next few weeks. And the only other project that I'll talk to you about is the trail. Reluctantly, I'll talk to you about that. But anyway, Hey, it's positive this time. The city's finally requesting to advertise for the project. So get the plans out in the next few weeks, and hopefully, cross my fingers, we've jumped through all the hoops. This is about the farthest we've been down this road in a long, long time. So I'm hoping to at least break ground on that before Dr. Marble retires.
No, not holding my breath.
Yeah, well, not either, but that's all I have.
Are there any questions for Mr. Yust? Thank you, Rob.
Yep.
Now we'll move on to the athletic director, and your name is
Cori Reid.
Cori Reid.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you all. So just a few of the highlights. I know we mentioned in the lunch earlier that Jared is currently with our cross-country team in Sacramento, California. They are at the national championship race, which will be held on Saturday. But they had a very successful year. We hosted the 2019 NCAA Division II Central Region cross-country meet on November 9th. The men's team won the team championship for the second year in a row. And Gideon Kumatai was the individual men's champion for us as well. He was also named the NCAA Regional Athlete of the Year. And Coach Jamie Burnham was named both MIAA Men's Coach of the Year as well as the NCAA Regional Coach of the Year as well. They are currently ranked 6th in the nation as they go into nationals this weekend. As we are wrapping up our fall sports and heading into winter, basketball season is underway for both the men and the women. Men's team is currently ranked 7th nationally in the coaches poll, and they're 3-0 right now on the road this weekend as well. The Student Athlete Advisory Council had their largest community event last month, Trick or Treat So Others Can Eat. They collect cans and food items from the Joplin area, and they collected this year 6,215 cans of food during this event, which they then delivered to Souls Harbor. They were very appreciative. They said that we are their largest contributor, and the amount of food that we dropped off at the end of the month will serve them until the end of February or March. So that's one of our favorite events that we do every year. And then the last highlight that Jared wanted to make sure that I did was a congratulations to Missouri Southern Athletics Hall of Famer and Board of Governor Anita Oplotnik on her upcoming induction into the Missouri Sports Hall of Fame on December 9th.
Are there any questions of Ms. Reid? Hearing none, thank you for your report. Welcome today.
Thank you.
We'll now hear from the Executive Vice President, Dr. Hudson.
Good afternoon. You have a copy of my report in your packet. I'll just highlight a few of the items in the report. The first page shows some fundraising results for the first quarter ending September 30th. You can see that total dollars raised is up $700,000 from this date last year, and of that, cash is up $161,000. So we're having a very good fundraising year. You'll see in the third bullet that we did close a $1.75 million estate gift, and President Marble and I were visiting yesterday about how we account for that, because it would appear as if we've not raised that much beyond that, but our reporting standards require we book that at $10,000. And so we will get a multi-million-dollar estate gift in several years, but it's only on the books for $10,000 because that's how our reporting standards require that we do that. Page 2 and 3 gives you a quick insight into some new marketing campaigns you'll be seeing soon. One for prospective students, and then a second one for students as they come to the university. On the left, you see the new quality marketing campaign that shows Dr. Tim Wilson trying to pick out some of our faculty who have had national exposure. Dr. Wilson has appeared on several episodes of the Discovery Channel's Investigation Discovery, so he's very well known, and so we're using him and other faculty who've had some national exposure to market our students, to our students, and also some of our facilities you can see down there at the bottom. And then on page 3, you see a campaign we'll be using in the lobby of Hearns Hall when prospective students come in. We're taking recent high school graduates and have them talk about their experience at Missouri Southern, what advice they would give incoming students. We hope in the future to roll this out to area high schools as well. And we flip back a few pages to page 6. You'll see a picture of our scholarship dinner. We had 500 donors and scholarship recipients all together in the same room a few weeks ago for our annual scholarship dinner, and that was a great evening. That was our largest crowd ever for that event. And then finally on page 7, at the bottom, you see tomorrow we plan to welcome 4 new members to the Foundation Board of Directors, Ashley Davis, John Matazzi, Brian Schmidt, and Terry Wachter. And so we'll look forward to voting them in tomorrow. And the last thing I wanted to share, which didn't make it into the report, we have over 200 living donors who have created endowments with the Missouri Southern Foundation. And each year we send out a report that details the investment performance, what new gifts have been made to their endowment, what distributions have been made. And so I brought a sample of that report. It's called the Annual Endowment Report to our endowment donors, and thought I'd pass that around and let you take a look at that. Thank you.
Conclude your report.
Yes, sir.
Are there any questions of Dr. Hudson? All right, thank you, Fred. And now we'll move on to the Provost and VP for Academic Affairs, Dr. Carson.
Thank you. There are just a few things I want to talk about and really brag on accomplishments since we last gathered. The first is the MoExcels. It's not my turn. It's my turn.
No.
Okay.
It is. I'm
Okay. So this is the second year of MoExcels, and when the program was first introduced, we really had no idea what it was going to be like. As it turned out, there was widespread competition. Almost every 2- and 4-year institution submitted something, and we were just delighted and so proud in 2019 to receive almost about $190,000 award, which supported our biology department environmental health and safety program. With that, we also received a designation as a statewide center of excellence in that area, and an ability to graduate students in that particular specialty area using our Bachelor of Applied Sciences, which is a very innovative way to do it. Able to accept transfer students, and in many cases, this is a very interesting degree and career opportunity for those who serve in the military or first responders, and as well as biology students. So we were excited to be able to articulate a very easy to enter into transfer degree. This year we were equally excited, and it's not really done until the governor signs it, and so Linda won't let us spend it yet, actually, but it's a $240,000 award, and it is to support the ecosystem for those with developmental disabilities, specifically in applied behavioral analysis area. And so Crowder has the associate degree credential. Truman is working on it, but Pitt State right now has the master's degree. So this allows us to develop very unique certificate, licensure programs, and baccalaureate program in a joint collaborative between psychology and teacher ed to offer the bachelor's level degree. What is very exciting to us is this proposal enables us to use where the Lion Cub Academy used to be in Taylor Hall, to renovate it and to actually develop a clinic where we will see clients, which is a much needed service in Southwest Missouri. Right now we have families traveling far distances to get treatment. But if we have an on-site clinic, it will enable the student to complete only half the required clinical hours in order to get credentialed. So that will enable us to graduate students workforce ready much quicker. And that is a $240,000 award. So we are very excited, and I thank all those departments for achieving those. So far we're 2 for 2 on those grants. I don't know in the past if we've ever talked about this, but in order to assess the temperament of our faculty and staff on campus, we have since 2016 participating in the Chronicle of Higher Ed's sort of job satisfaction survey. It's called Great Colleges to Work For. It is an extension of the more broad-based, business-oriented Great Places to Work, and it's really important to us because the questions are tailored to that. And we have really been trying to put in a lot of initiatives that enhance opportunity and equity and fairness and development and support. And we just recently got their shares results. They were shared with the campus this week, but I'm just very excited to present them to you because compared to 2016, we'll probably quadruple the favorability of our responses in these areas. And I wanted to let you know this is the first time where we're sort of approaching a level of national recognition, and it's very exciting for us. And so we compare ourselves to the honor roll, which most universities across the nation do participate. They take a very small percentage and call those the honor roll campuses. And then we also compare ourselves to all Carnegie-like institutions. And we exceeded the achievement score, those who agree and strongly agree, versus our Carnegie institutions on all of these dimensions. And I think some things, we've all been collectively working on, like shared governance. Shared governance, we were actually 12% higher than our Carnegie peers and actually higher than the honor roll schools on that particular dimension. So it's been a collaborative joint effort in pursuing this, and I'm just really proud and thankful and humbled that together we've been able to achieve these improvements in our...
Did you say we were higher than all of our Carnegie peers?
We're higher than all of our Carnegie peers on, we're equal on a couple, we were equal on a couple of them, but...
Just want to make sure John heard that. Oh, okay.
Okay, we are also delighted the amount of media, print and broadcast media we've gotten for our little project that could, our courtroom that we cut the ribbon on. The courtroom was just born out of interdepartmental collaboration, which is such a hallmark of what we have here versus other institutions, and a little bit of money here and someone who knows where we could get some pews that we could use for gallery seats over here. And so it was a very interdisciplinary cross-campus team that put together for a very small amount of money this courtroom. And when we started talking about this courtroom, it was not realized to us how many different departments and disciplines would be able to use it. So yeah, we have mock trial, a lot of co-curricular, some pre-law, but as it turned out, law enforcement and criminal justice have to train people to perform effectively as expert witnesses or to be deposed or testimony, and so does psychology and social work and early childhood education. And as it turned out, it's a little bit alarming to note what a litigious society we are in some ways, but on the other hand, almost every major can actually use this courtroom. So it's unlike any other in the 4 states, and we're really proud of it. So it's in the Justice Center. It creates about our 10th fully immersive learning environment over there, and we're really proud. And I want to thank everyone who had a part in doing that.
Yeah, that was great publicity.
Yeah, wasn't it?
this
Thank
morning.
you. Yeah, it's like...
Dr. Marvel and I were just saying that maybe, up-and-coming university presidents might ought to be, comfortable in the courtroom too.
Get a little practice.
Yeah. Yeah. Sad but true, huh?
Yeah.
So I also always get excited about when it's the season for the K-12 students to start coming on campus, and we're about ready to have our first significant one. And I realized in my 4 years here, I've never really talked about this one, and I'm really proud of it when they invite somebody of the President's Council to go provide the opening welcome. I was very excited. I got lucky to do this one, and it's our Southern Media Showcase. So I give you a little detail about it. It is held on December 5th, and high school students are invited to submit their digital and print projects in a variety of different ways. The different categories are here. It is judged. We invite local media celebrities to come and to speak to the students, and it's a really rock star event. I go and I'm constantly in awe at what our high school students are able to do with the technology and the digital media production, and it's really, quite frankly, inspiring and motivating to me that they can do these things. It's also really helpful to know that this is the type of student that is processing to our institution, and we need to really be prepared for them. So it's just a very innovative, cutting edge day, and I really wanted you all to know about it, and perhaps if you're interested to attend, know that you're welcome. The last part of my report are some invitations beginning that same day, December 5th. Some things that we perhaps don't normally invite you to or talk about, but that are upcoming and that you all are always welcome to and you might think are interesting. I think the first is the dissection, end of the semester dissection class. So you all know that, we have hundreds of biology majors now. We have the Yust program. We're in discussions with having a yours to lose for dental. And so our health sciences reputation just continues to grow, and we enroll more students. So we have already doubled, a little bit more than doubled our dissection lab from what was originally conceptualized, and we have classes going on all year round. But at the end of every semester, Dr. Ala Barry, who is director of the Cadaver Lab and teaches the class Advanced Human Dissection, which is an application-only class, has her student teams present their findings. And every single time that the students have presented the findings, they have identified something through the process of their course that really helps explain cause of death. So they have been able to find things. They have published studies, class studies, in really significant publications. Because of a project in the dissection class, she had 2 students this summer who were invited to go to London, and undergraduate students are literally never invited to go to this conference for the International Anatomy and Physiology. So it's very interesting if you want to see the types of things that we're doing in these areas and how really accomplished and advanced our students are when they leave here and how prepared they are for graduate school. It's interesting. There's no live demonstration. It's all slides and they're very tastefully done. It turns out to be one of our most popular events on campus. We keep having to move it to a larger and larger venue because of just the original revelations that are presented there. And then we have It's Friday, and presented by Dr. Archer. I know she's here. So we keep teasing her because it's the 150th anniversary of the periodic table, and that will be the focus of our research talk. We tell her it'll be okay because we will have wine there. And so, but we think that it will be more fun than perhaps a talk on the periodic table. There may even be karaoke. But I think that it's going to be really enlightening, and I'm actually very excited about it. And we just have to keep marking her. But you are welcome to come on December 6th at 3. We typically start to talk about 3:30. And I think you'll be pleasantly surprised how entertaining the periodic table can be. Finally, the choral flourish, as you know, we have talked about it every year. This is actually our 10th year, and you know the demand and the crowd at that. So we're actually looking at some alternate scheduling, and I wanted to let you guys know that we will have 2 matinees on Saturday. This year, there will be one at 1 p.m. and one at 7:30 p.m. We will see how that works for the student voices and their ability to do that. But as always, we would love to have you at one or both of those. And then finally, not on here, but something that I'm very proud of our faculty and staff for. We, thanks to the generosity of Coach Warren Turner, he started Couch to 5K class for our faculty and staff. It's part of our wellness program. People get wellness points on the self-insurance toward it. And the actual culminating event, the race, is going to be held this Sunday. And Alan participated in the class as well. It's going to be this Sunday at 2, so it's a Lion 5K, and if you would like to come out and participate or watch, I just wanted to make sure you know that you are welcome to do that. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Carson. Dr. Carson, this may not be the first time, but I believe all 4 deans from all the schools on campus are in attendance today.
They are very engaged and supportive. So can you guys stand up? Are you hiding? Are you hiding under them? Yeah, so I'm happy to introduce them. And Wendy too, I didn't have enough time to introduce you without standing up. We do something very different here. I think collegially we operate in order to always make sure that we're not fighting about the size, about how big someone's piece of the pie is, but growing the pie, we work together on everything collaboratively. Everything is a collective decision. So it's Dr. Rick Schooler and Dean of Health Sciences, and then where'd you go? Okay, there's Dr. Schooler. Oh, Dr. Zimmerman right here in the front, Dean of the Plaster School of Business, Dean Lorinda Hackett, Dean of School of Education, and that's teacher ed and also psychology and kinesiology. And Dean Marcy Archer, who is a chemist who has 16 departments in her school of arts and sciences.
It's only
12, 16, a lot. It's a pleasure to work with you guys. I think you know I feel that way. But thank you all for coming. And then Wendy McGrain, who's associate provost. Critical part of any academic success we have. So thank you.
Thank you all for coming. I mean that sincerely. It's important that I think it's important that you're here. It shows that your commitment to the university, especially wanting to come to these exciting board meetings, but also I think it's important for the leadership to understand the full breadth of what's going on at the university, and I think you get a piece of that here. So thank you for coming. Are there any questions for Dr. Carson? Thank you for your report. And now we'll hear from Mr. Fullerton, the VP for Student Affairs.
You have my report in front of you, so I'll just highlight a few things there. That one of the events that we've held recently, we were proud to hold a celebration for first-generation students. Many people don't realize that, depending on the semester, that approximately 50% or a little over of Missouri Southern students are first-generation students, meaning they're the first in their families to attend college or university. So we held what we called First Aurora to celebrate these students, because many times that's an intimidating venture and they don't have someone to show them the way. So we had a little celebration, and you can't have a celebration without cake. And we had Dr. Marble shaking hands. And then we provided buttons for the students. And then they also had an opportunity to meet faculty and staff that are on campus that were first generation as well. And so again, the goal of that was to try to engage with them and let them know that even though that they may be intimidated or that may be a frightening perspective, there are many of us in that situation that were first generation students.
Darren, I am a first generation student. I enjoyed the cake, but because how many in here are first generation students? Yeah, it's amazing. And we still have several, and there's extra hurdles. And it was great. That was a great program.
So that we were excited, and that was our inaugural event, but that will be an annual event from here on out. I have some information there on counseling services. I'll leave that for your reading pleasure. I just want to point out one number in there that new client numbers, counseling sessions from our students with our counseling center, we're up 311% over last year's numbers. And so again, we are at capacity, and we work well with our community partners. But I just want to make you aware of that. We were able to get an intern through some graduate programs, and so a lot going on in the counseling center these days. On page 2, just a quick update on an event. We were excited to host an academic life coaching workshop. Dr. Kathleen Shea Smith she's Associate Provost for Academic Advising at the University of Oklahoma. And we were able to host her on campus, and over 20 of our staff were able to attend this academic life coaching workshop. And again, we know what academic advising is, we know what life coaching, and then we know what athletic coaching is. This was really a combination of all of those, and the speakers, the main gist of her presentation, we can advise students about their academic life, but when life outside of academics happens, you've got to be able to coach and deal with that as well. And so that was a great opportunity for us. That workshop cost several $1,000s to attend nationally, and we were able to get her on campus and train over 20 of our staff for a very reasonable price. And so we were very happy that we were able to convince Dr. Smith to come to campus. So we appreciate everyone that participated there. On page 3, and then also page 5 goes with that, the Internship Expo, and really I'll flip to page 5 because that's an infographic and you can look at numbers as opposed to listening to me. 264 students and over 40 employers attended the Internship Expo. And again, Career Services does a great job of working with our faculty, and our faculty are fantastic about keeping us in the loop on the internships and then working with employers. I didn't bring all of the stats from the employers. 100% of the employers that attended that event gave it 100% satisfaction. They were thrilled with this event. We had 4 vendors that I personally talked to that had no internships available right now or for the immediate future, but they were here talking to our students about next spring, late spring and summer, because they saw the value in this. And so again, a shout out to all the faculty that worked with Career Services on that, and a great job for Career Services. So with the other items in the report, I'll leave for your review and answer any questions.
Darren, on the intern program, do the students normally receive academic credit for participation, or?
For the majority of the programs, they do. Olive can correct me, but probably about 80% of our majors have an internship type program in there. Some of them are smaller in hours, some of them are the full semester, but the majority of them do get academic credit. Nationwide, most of the internships now are moving to a paid internship. Ours are, it's a mixture of some paid and some not, but they do get academic credit.
Thank you. Are there any questions of Mr. Fullerton? Thank you for your report, Darren. And now we'll hear from the Faculty Senate President, Dr. Mauser.
Yes, thank you. First, I apologize for no written submission of my report, but I'll make sure that there is an official document sent for the record. So most of the fall semester we spend, especially crafting new policies and looking at curriculum changes, and we work very closely with the administration to do that. I think Dr. Carson mentioned the shared governance, and that's something that we have really appreciated and taken very seriously. And some of the new curriculum opportunities have been very exciting, showing some collaboration across departments even, some new certificates that are interdisciplinary in nature. And I also want to highlight some of the events on campus that have been taking place that faculty are often very invested in, such as the Oceana semester. I know we talked about that at our last board meeting, but it is coming to a close soon. I know we still have a few events left, some movies from the international and concerts. We also hosted a new event called The Whole Story, a decolonial cross-cultural Day Institute, and it was interdisciplinary in nature, designed to establish also a new scholarship for students of color on campus, and we raised quite a bit on that event, enough I think to endow a scholarship. So otherwise, like I said, there's various policies in various stages of the process that we'll continue to look at and work on. And in terms of shared governance, we're also looking forward to collaborating with Staff Senate and Student Senate. We've all been in contact recently about some ideas about programs and such that could benefit the university as a whole. So I'm looking forward to working with them more. We also just have one more meeting this semester as a Senate, and I'm happy to entertain any questions that you may have.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Dr. Mauser? There are not. Thank you. Thank you for your report. And now from the Staff Senate President, Ms. Forsythe.
Thanks for having me today. I'll be very brief. We, our elections committee presented the most recent quarterly service awards to Scott Snell in distance learning, Melanie Epperson and registrars in Talbot Harrison in IT. We have an annual service project that I mentioned last time and probably gets mentioned frequently, the Angel Tree. There were 74 kids whose names went up on the tree, and all were adopted by gift donors, I think within the first week. It went very quickly. And the gift wrapping date is December 2nd for that, and then they'll give out gifts at Southern Lights. And we had a special meeting to discuss the recent staff survey. It was a really great discussion. Hopefully this will lead to some really great projects in conjunction with the other senates on campus. And that's my report. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Are there any questions of Ms. Forsythe? Thank you for your report. Student Senate President Sarah Schultz.
Hello. So first, I know I talked about last meeting about the Lion's Den renovation. We're still working on that, on getting potentially like wraps for down there as the van on campus that's wrapped. Doing something like that, kind of completing that whole project. Another thing is we did table at the end of October in the Lion's Den, and from that we handed out candy, and we received a lot of suggestions from fellow students on what they would like to see happen on campus and things like that. And we did get a few really good suggestions, and that kind of sparked an event we're doing next semester. And so at the beginning of next semester, we're going to give out Scantrons to students across campus. It's just the first couple hundred students come up to us, scan their ID, and we'll hand out 3 Scantrons to them because across campus. I know some schools provide Scantrons and other ones don't, so we're looking into that and seeing how that is all funded. And then another thing is we're setting up service projects for the spring. We did last night pass a donation to Angel Tree, so we're doing that, and then we're working on potentially we're going to repaint the paw prints and stuff on campus and just getting campus just keeping it up to date. I know that's something I'm really passionate about, and a lot of the other senators are the same way about that. And then another point is we have 2 senators graduating this semester, and one is my vice president, so I will be appointing a new vice president at the end of this semester. And then one brief thing, I attended the National Student Leadership Forum in DC at the end of October. That was a really good event. It was hosted on Capitol Hill by congressmen, and we learned a lot about how like government operates there and how to work between. There was a lot of Missouri had a big representation there, and a lot of other student government like presidents and senators from Missouri were there too. So we got to network a lot and talk to each other about how things are going on their campuses and stuff like that. And I know I'm still in contact with them, and we have like regular calls about what they're doing and things like that. So I think that's important moving forward. And that is all I have.
Excellent. Are there any questions of Ms. Schultz? Thank you for your report. Now we'll move on to the board committees, and we'll take up Budget and Audit Committee first.
Thank you, sir. Budget and Audit Committee met this morning. We had a pretty good agenda, even though we got a little late start. A couple things we'd like to bring forward to the full board. We also entertain a motion later in the agenda once we hear from BKD on the annual financial audit. So that was also reviewed by the board committee. The committee also looked at a line share distribution policy that we will present to the full board to review and approve at our January meeting. So that policy will set a baseline requirement of when we will offer a line share distribution to the university. As part of that, I do have a motion regarding a line share for this year. Empowering You line share distribution, there was a motion approved by the Budget and Audit Committee to authorize the administration to give a one-time Empowering You line share distribution of $400 for full-time, $200 part-time for all qualifying employees.
You bring that forward as a motion from your committee?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor for line share distribution of $400 for full-time, $200 for part-time.
That is correct.
Second.
We have a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Governor Haley?
Also at the committee, we talked about a bonds and in preparation of building the new dorm that as Mr. talked about. And so we actually have a bond resolution and a motion we'd like to bring forward for the full board to approve and recognize and consider. I will read this lengthy bond resolution. Resolution authorizing and directing the issuance of not to exceed $24,100,000 principal amount of auxiliary enterprise system revenue bonds, Series 2019A, to provide funds to finance additions, renovations, extensions, and improvements to the facilities of the auxiliary enterprise system of the university. Prescribing the form and details of said bonds and the covenants and agreements made by the university to provide for the payment and security thereof, and prescribing other matters relating thereto.
You bring that forward as a motion?
Bring that forward as a motion for the board to consider.
We have a motion on the floor, a second from Governor Oplotnik. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Any other business, Governor Haley?
That was the business of this month's Budget and Audit Committee.
Except for your audit report.
That is correct, which will come later.
In a few minutes. Thank you, Governor Haley. Governor Oplotnik?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Academic Affairs Committee met today. I think each of you have a printout of our agenda. But we did approve 10 new credentials for undergraduate certificates and bachelor certificates. and you all each have a printout showing those, so I won't read them to you, but I thought the interesting was one under undergraduate. We have now approved an unmanned aircraft system remote pilot application, which is a 9-hour class for drones. So again, adding to the changes in technology and looking forward at the opportunities for our students. So I thought those were terrific. Those were all approved. And then secondly, we reviewed a letter to support the Joplin City Council. Dr. Marble will be sending a letter showing the university's commitment to the health and safety of the students. And they're focused on stemming the increase in tobacco use. And so the university is endorsing the efforts of Tobacco 21 to encourage the Joplin City Council to adopt the ordinance, and we're supporting that. And that's my report.
Thank you, Governor Oplotnik. Are there any questions for Governor Oplotnik, or Governor Haley for that matter? All right, and we also had a Personnel Compensation Committee meeting this morning.
Yes, the Personnel
Should have called on you,
Compensation
Governor Hershewe.
Committee meeting met this morning in closed session for the statute. We had a robust discussion for over an hour. Sorry to the Budget Committee for running you late. But we are prepared now to make some recommendations to the full board later about the next steps in the presidential search process.
Thank you, Governor Hershewe. Dr. Marble.
Thank you, Governor Gipson. I was just looking at my report. Everybody does these nice colored things, and I have this boring white sheet. I guess that comes with age, right? Our legislative preview this year, the day that we scheduled it happened to be probably the blusteриest, cold, rainy day of the year. So it wasn't as well attended as some, but we did have Senator White, Representative Cody Smith, and Kelly and Bob Brumley attend. And it's particularly important that Cody Smith be there because he is the budget chair in the House. And we made the case, as you would imagine, that we need the $1.8 million that was a new decision item last year moved to our core budget. Because the argument last year was that we're having so many STEM, such demand for our STEM programs, science, technology, engineering, math, that we need the money. Well, I checked yesterday and the day before, and we have now over 400 biology and pre-med majors. Two primarily, I can take to the medical school moving to town. We have a dental school coming to town, and those numbers won't go down. So we need that 1.8 million, and any chance you get to encourage our legislative delegation to press that forward, we appreciate it. Secondly, the Missouri Department of Higher Education Workforce Development, DUDE, continues to meet, and I serve on the Commissioners Advisory Group. We met recently and were informed of the new priorities of this just really kind of developing department, because merging two departments create kind of a mishmash of programs all the way from apprenticeships to doctorate degrees. So really it falls into just categories of access for students, making sure that they're finishing quality programs, and then being sure that Missourians are on some pathway toward an education. And I know all these things are worthy goals, but I think that as a higher education institution, we have to be very vigilant that higher education remains on the front burner, and that we don't get pushed away with some of these other training programs that come along. Another thing that kind of ties into that is our performance funding. We've had performance funding now for how many years? Jason, we had that first try at performance funding years ago, remember? I forget. Funding for results, that went away. Then it came back 5 or 6, 7 years ago, something like that. Where we have 5 performance metrics that we were supposed to, every college and university is supposed to meet. Turns out we made all 5, so we're very proud of that. But we're only one of 8 that did. Who had 8 had 4 out of 5, 7 had 3 out of 5, and 8 of us had 5 out of 5. So it speaks, I think, highly to our faculty and staff, how hard they work to make things go around here, and to the quality of our students to get us to where we need to be. The University Council met recently, and we wrestled with a variety of challenges for a couple hours. But then after a long and thoughtful debate, we decided that our email system, which has in the past maybe been the doorway for some hackers to try to get through, needed to be shored up. And so we made some changes, policy changes that we're going to talk about, because then the hackers would know, right? But we're tightening that up some, and ending some access to email for some folks that at certain times, let's put it that way. After you retire, resign, leave, graduate, and then still we'll continue to talk about other ways to tighten up our filters so that we can avoid the kind of pitfalls that are happening all across the country. Empowering You, I have to say, it really had a terrific impact, I think, this fall, and put out something called Priority, play on the words of Rory, an enrollment challenge that they passed out cards, and I just actually cut and pasted a piece in here from Dr. Nicoletti explaining how there's a drawing that will reward both students and advisors if they win this drawing. We were handing out cards to faculty, staff, everybody, every employee on campus got the cards. And you were to go around and have a student sign the card, take the card to their advisor, and whenever their advising was over, have it signed, and then it could be put into the drawing. And so we will have, 5 students, 5 faculty that will draw me $1,000 given away. And it seems to have worked very, very well, because we're way ahead of where we have been in the past in re-enrollments. The last thing I'd like to address is the downtown library. Since we've sort of revamped our approach recently, we've made significant progress with regard to a proposal that we can deliver for financial support. I know Dr. Carson's put the final touches on the programs and maybe finished, I think probably is by now. Rob Yust, CPA Yust, is put together pro forma, and I think based upon the changes that we made, perhaps in some of the program. And I know Darren's got the student support figured out, and Dr. Hodgson's put together the proposal, so we should be ready in mid-January, I think, to put it in front of people who can help us financially. So we'll see what happens.
Excellent. Are there any questions for Dr. Marble? Thank you for your report. Is there any other old business? Is there any old business that needs to be brought before the board? All right, we'll move on with new business. And the first is going to be, Governor Haley mentioned a presentation from the auditors regarding the 2019 audited financial statements. Ms. Ice, you want to introduce your guests, our guests?
I would like to do that, yes, I would. We actually have 3 representatives here from EKD. We have Kim Ham, we have Kyle Miller, and Jennifer Rickers, and I believe Kim is going to present the results from our FY19 audit.
Is it okay if I just stand right here?
Works.
All right, great. Well, Board of Governors and Dr. Marble, we really appreciate the opportunity to join you at your board meeting today to present the results of the 2019 annual audit. And we met earlier today, as was mentioned, and met with the full finance audit type committee to go over the reports in a lot more detail than I will go over here today, but just going to hit some of the highlights. We did issue a clean or an unmodified opinion that states that the financial statements as presented in the report present fairly in all material respects the financial position of the university as of and for the year ended June 30, 2019. The opinion letter that accompanies the report also mentions the foundation's financials, which is a discretely presented component unit to the university and which was audited by other auditors, and that is referenced in the report as well. In planning and performing our audit, we do consider the university's system of internal controls, but as part of that audit, we do not actually issue an opinion on the internal controls. As part of the report, the MD&A, or Management's Discussion and Analysis, precedes the financial statements, and that is put together by management and is a good place to go to get a highlight of kind of the overview of some of the things that happened or changed over the prior year. And then the footnotes that are right behind the financial statements, there's a lot of detail that you can go if you have any certain line items in the financial statements that you'd like to get some additional information about, or some policies, accounting policies, that are used by the university and complying with generally accepted accounting principles. So I'd encourage you to look there as well. And in connection with the work that we do with the financial statement audit, because the university receives federal aid for the student financial aid programs to assist students in attending college, I'm happy to report that we did not find any items of non-compliance that rose to a level of being reported as a finding. So you'll see, as was the case last year, that there are no compliance-related findings to be reported to the government regarding those programs. There's a lot of compliance elements that goes along with those federal programs, and it takes a lot of due diligence and monitoring and oversight to have a result like that. So I applaud the efforts there, because it is a tough area and one that requires a lot of diligence. And I guess as colleges and universities consider to face competition for enrollment, it's been really important that the university continues to be very proactive in looking for ways to increase enrollment, control costs, separate yourselves, looking for programs. And as I sit here and listen to the reports, it sounds like that's exactly what you all are doing. So I applaud that effort, because it will be tough for colleges and universities over the next few years. Not to be doom and gloom, but I think it's really important to know that you all are involved in looking at that as a group. It's not just the financial area that it takes up, it's a whole campus-wide effort. And again, I applaud the efforts that you're doing in that area. We really appreciate, you may not know how much work goes into getting through the audit. The people that we work with probably understand that more, because it's their second job as they're trying to do their regular work. But we really appreciate the cooperation that we get from all the different areas on campus as we try to get through our work and get our testing and stuff done. So I want to say thank you again for that, and taking the audit seriously and really looking at the recommendations we make, looking how those fit for your university, and trying to implement those where you can. So again, I appreciate that. That concludes my report, but I'd be happy to answer any questions if there are any.
I have a quick question. Typically at the end of the year, at places I'm familiar with, there are, I think they're called adjusting entries, journal entries that you have to make one to the. Did we have any of those?
We did not propose any adjustments to be made or passed.
There were no adjusting entries. And I want to say for the record, I've been here 7 years and we've never had any. And that's the most ridiculously terrific thing I've ever heard. You could go nationwide, I don't think you could find another university where that's the case. And that's the reason for that. So you deserve a round of applause.
Yeah. You know that I say that it takes a tremendous team of people to make that happen, but I will pass the kudos along, and I appreciate that. And as I always say every year, BKD always puts us, they don't give us a free pass. They make us work really hard for it, which I like, because that tells me we're doing a great job. And I want to make a point to point out that Michelle Arwood, who is not here today, she's the director of accounting. She's huge piece of this. We also have the bursar, which is Alicia Hughes. She's a big piece of this. And Becca Diskin, she's not here today, but she's also a big piece. So those are people I want to make sure I recognize, because huge work on their part as well. So we appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. There weren't any questions in this session, but certainly in the Budget and Audit Committee meeting, which I want to add that Governor Haley and Governor Oplotnik worked to make sure that both of the committees, the Academic Affairs Committee and the Budget and Audit Committee, could meet at the same time, sort of jointly, to hear the report from BKD, and I want to applaud the two of you for doing that. We did have full and robust discussion about a number of items in the report. So. Governor Haley.
Yeah, so with that, again, I want to thank BKD for this year's work participating in the audit. And Linda, again, kudos to you and the group. Make a motion to approve the financial audit as presented by BKD.
A motion from Governor Haley. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Governor Elliott. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Dr. Carson, do you have any academic policy proposals we need to take up today?
Thank you. I have none additional beyond what we covered in the committee meeting. So.
All right. And none of those rise to the level to come before the full board?
Just the certificates and new bachelor's degrees that that you all already supported.
Okay.
Yeah, sure. It's my pleasure really to introduce Gary Burton and Jim Foley, or Boo as we refer to him, our lobbyists who frankly have done a great job for us the last few years, in particular this year when we were trying to get that 1.8 million across the line. Did just a fabulous job for us. So with that, I'll let you two make any comments you'd like to make.
Well, first of all, thanks for having us come here, and we really appreciate representing the University of Jeff City. It's an honor and a privilege to do that. I also want to welcome the new governors to the board on this today, so welcome. It's always a credit to give your time to help the public institutions, and I've been in my entire life. So, but yes, we had a very successful year last year. You know, not only did we had to get the 1.2 from our portion of the university to 1.8, because now we're going to the, working with a collaborative partner over at Kansas University, I believe it was. So we had to get it to 1.8, so we increased that by 8, and then get the legislature to agree to it. Sometimes it sounds easy, but it's not. And but we were successful in doing that. So, and we met. I know Dr. Marble, I know Brad and I have met. We met with our local delegations to make sure that they knew what was going on. We're clear and concise. We put a strategy together. We implemented that strategy, and we even had some, from help from Governor Elliott. I got to admit, he was very close with the appropriations chair of the Senate. We all served together. So I threatened him that if he didn't give it to us, he'd be calling. So he didn't want that. But thank you for that too, Governor. But that's where we were successful. And this year, not only to get to 1.8, but we also got an additional money into the core, $1 million in the core. So this year, our one priority, and I've already been told, my one priority is going to be get that $1.8 million into the core. Representative Cody Smith knows it. We talked about it not only at the end of last year, we've talked about it in the middle of the summer already. I know Dr. Marble has talked to him, and I'm actually meeting with him again in December to go over the same issue. Obviously, as times go by, budget numbers are working. The governor's office is doing their budget numbers. The House is doing theirs. Consensus revenue is going to be coming pretty shortly. And then obviously at the state, the governor will release his proposed budget for the next fiscal year. So, and hopefully that at that point in time, we'll have a plan together. We will have a plan together to go get that $1.8 million into the core. So that's all we got. So appreciate the opportunity to come. So happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions of Jim?
Just one last thing. Gary's retiring. As you guys want to know, Gary
He's
retired.
not already retired?
And I kind of took over his job, so this will be his last meeting, I guess, before he goes to become mountain mayor again.
He looks awfully tan. Tan, rested, and ready.
Thank you.
Mr. Burton.
Somebody's got to do it.
Mr. Burton, would you like to address this body?
I would, very briefly. It's been a pleasure to work with Missouri Southern since 1988. Serving 14 years as a legislator, I've seen the go from a college to university, name changes, buildings built, and it's been a real pleasure to have a little role, as I know some of the representatives, former representatives here in the room have also had. But it's been a pleasure to see what's happened to the college and grow into a university, and how it's helped the community and how it continues to help the community in the future. So I thank you for the opportunity for us to be able to represent you all, and I know I'm leaving it in good hands with Mr. Foley. He has great contacts at the legislative level in Jeff City, understands the process as he served for a number of years as a legislator along with us. So thank you again for your opportunity.
Gary, thank you for all that you've done, not only as lobbyist for the university, but what you did before that as representing Joplin in the General Assembly. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Dr. Carson, you have yet one more thing, don't you?
I do. Thank you. I really appreciate the opportunity to do this. I know it's been a busy meeting, but now that this process is underway for us, we really wanted to share it. So just over a year ago, there was a legislative mandate that students who are starting in a public institution in Missouri needed to, prior to their graduation, pass a civics exam. The civics exam had to be passed at a 70% rate. It had to reflect the content of a naturalization exam, and the content all had to be there, and it had to be multiple choice, somewhere between 50 and 100 questions. But beyond that, there were no real expectations or dictates. So there are many institutions throughout Missouri that express concern and consternation and hesitation to implement this. But for us, we felt like it was a very opportunistic time for us to, one, make sure we could contribute to the education of citizens. So state of Missouri citizens, the United States citizens. Two, we really thought this would be a great opportunity for help our incoming students particularly prepare for online education. So we very much recognize, with 2/3 of our students being first gen, the value of face-to-face interaction. But we also know when our students graduate, they will enter into a world of lifelong learning, as Governor Frank spoke about, that is primarily digital and online. So we wanted our students, even if they never took an actual online class from us, to be familiar with that content. We also very much appreciate and value opportunities for our entire campus to become involved in collaborative initiatives. So we sent out and said this is something the legislature expects us to do, and very quickly. We're going to have to get this up and running very quickly. We need it in place at the beginning of July. And who wants to join us on this effort? And so, of course, there were some social scientists and historians who said that is what we would like to do, but there were many who are faculty on our campus who had gone through this process themselves, who had actually taken the test. There are others who, for a variety of different reasons, just felt drawn to work on this civics project. And so the obvious choice for us to lead this project was distance learning. Diana Fordham, she not only is an educational technologist and a real key to our success in online ventures here, but she also teaches history for us. And so fortunately, she didn't tell me no, because she was the ideal lead for this project. Is Scott still? Okay, so I'll briefly introduce our Director of Distance Learning, Scott, and they lead a team that really puts us at the cutting edge of quality distance education. So Diana worked tirelessly and brought us all together to develop original scripts, to do original video, to do a lot of things that other schools are not doing, because the typical thing is, here's a multiple choice test. When you pass it, let us know. For us, obviously, it was a great value for us to educate our students on civics issues, but also it's the only non-curricular issue that we have at this institution in place. So the only thing that's not a course a student has to take to pass in order to get their diploma. And I think you all know by now how committed we are to retention and graduation, and we really wanted to be able to make sure we help students and not impose barriers to their completion. So with that introduction and with my appreciation, I'll turn it over to Diana to share a little bit about our exam.
And Ms. Fordham, before you start, could you move the podium, Darren, over to the center so they can get her on the microphones?
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Carson. She certainly could have taken this legislative mandate as a burden. She didn't. She took it as an opportunity and did appoint me as the lead. However, when we sent the invitation out to the campus-wide community, we had a well-represented staff, faculty, and administration that worked on this. So it's been an opportunity, and it's great. I'd like to imagine that the state legislature had some of the same concerns that we did as a committee, and that is, in despite of having a political system that highlights individual freedom and responsibility, as a nation generally, we are failing to provide individuals with the skills they need to successfully and fully participate in the citizenship of the United States. It is quite apparent and civic values have been absent in certain events of more recent events in our government. Turn on the TV. We have experienced our political parties unable to compromise. Violent protest has showcased government unable to foster peace. The National Center for Education and Economy shows that the new generation of students that we are teaching are falling behind its peers in education rankings across the globe. As a parent with students that I teach, and I've been teaching for 20 years, that generally many of our young citizens have a poor understanding of civics and the nuances of our political structure. And every semester that I teach, it's amazing to me. None of my students this year, none of them knew what impeachment meant. And yet here we are in the midst of this. So civics must be taught to our future leaders. They must have the skills that will be needed to run our country effectively, and future generations need to have the skills to be informed, active participants in our government. So what we did is that we, on Blackboard, and like Dr. Carson said, we took a whole host of information and resources, and we did create something that is uniquely Missouri Southern. And I am very proud of the committee that I've worked on and for the participation. So I'm going to cover a few of the things that we have here. First, as we talk about being political citizens, I'm going to come back to this in a few minutes and just show you a little bit of flavor, but we did create 8 modules, and these 8 modules cover all of the aspects that any civics, the civics course for naturalized citizens have to take. But we're on a collegial level, so we took it a step further. And so we tried to encompass a lot of resources. So we have a video. This one particularly is 36 minutes. Don't worry, I'm not showing all of it. And the students, as they watch it, because of the screen here, usually this little quiz is right next to the video, so they can take the quiz as they're watching the video. We have, interactive type exercises in each module. This happens to be on the women in United States history, and of course we all recognize this as a Missouri Southern graduate, so we were grateful to highlight Janet Kavindi on that. This is where, I make my students do this, and this is where I think this is important. This is a LibGuide, and the resources I put here, and maybe some of you don't know these resources, but part of what I find with our citizens or with our students is they don't know how to be actively engaged in our civics. They don't know how to contact their governor. They don't know how to contact their representatives. So there are 2 awesome apps that you can get on your phone called 5 Calls and Countable. And when you go and sign this up with the app, if I go to I'll go to Countable right now, it will tell me everything that's going on through our Senate and House of Representatives on a daily basis. I can click a link, and it will take me right to my congressman and my House of Representatives, my senator in the House of Representatives. And I can email them. It'll give me a script. Right now, I just went on, the impeachment hearings are happening. Contact your representatives and let them know what you think. And my students have to do this. So I go on a daily basis, and there are things that I care about more than others. Just recently, there was a bill before the House about equal pay for women. And so I clicked on the little thing. It gave me Representative Womack, and I forgot my other representative, but his name is on here. And it gave me a script that when I call them, there are certain things that I have to say that those representatives have to tally and have to turn in. And so I'm able to do that on a regular basis, daily basis, as a matter of fact. So students don't know how to be active, and so this resource is in every module, and our students have access to this resource. So we have that, and then we have a quiz that is taken in every module, and what we've done, and so if you know, the state legislature wants us to have a 50 to 100 question exam in order for them to pass with a 70% or better in order to graduate from Missouri Southern, really any Missouri institution of higher education. And so what we did module-wise is all of the questions from this module that could possibly be on the test are there. And they can take this module quiz over and over and over again until they master the material. And then at the end, once they go through all of the modules, the exam, and they can take the exam at any point. It is a pooled set of questions, of 136 questions, I believe, at this point, and it randomizes 50 at a time. And so the students will go in and take the quiz or the exam, and if they do well, 70% or better, it's put on their transcripts. If they don't, they can take it as many times as they need to. The clue here, though, is they never get the same exam twice, because we've randomized it this way. And so this is a very comprehensive, engaging learning environment to teach our students how to be civically engaged and civically minded. And by the way, I would challenge anyone that would want to see how good you are, come take our quiz. And I'll give you some statistics in a minute, but let me just show you a flavor of what this, what I think makes it uniquely Southern from across the campus, what this looks like. I'm going to show about 3 minutes of this, and then I will go from there.
Sorry.
Thank you.
The role of women in the United States has changed dramatically over the past few decades. For one, more and more women have taken on new responsibilities outside the home by joining the paid workforce. While women made up only about 1/3 of the workforce in 1969, women today make up almost half of all workers in the United States. Women are also stepping up to lead the country. A record number of women ran for public office in 2018, and a record high percentage of women are serving in Congress. Women have excelled and reached their potential in almost every profession. American women's history has been full of pioneers who have fought for their rights and have worked hard to be treated equal. They demonstrate not only competence, but also excellence in a working world that was thought by so many as only meant for men. Sung and unsung, more women have contributed significantly to American history than can be contained within this resource video. This lesson is a representative survey of some of the stories of notable women in American history. We will begin our story with the speech of Sojourner Truth, the Black abolitionist and former slave who spoke to a gathering of feminists in Akron, Ohio in 1851. The speech presented here is a reading by the actress Kerry Washington. The speech lasted only a few minutes, but it is a landmark moment in history, and it expresses the sentiment of women's rights.
That man over there says that women need to be helped into carriages, lifted over ditches, and to have the best place everywhere. Nobody ever helps me into carriages, or over mud puddles, or gives me any best place. And ain't I a woman? I have plowed and planted and gathered into barns, and no man could head me. And ain't I a woman? I could work as much and eat as much as any man when I could get it, and I could bear the lash as well. And ain't I a woman? I have borne 13 children, seen most sold off into slavery. And when I cried out with a mother's grief, none but Jesus heard me. And ain't I a woman?
I just think it's really important for us to learn our history as a nation. I think unfortunately a lot of us have learned a history that's really single-sided. It's not the full picture. This performance, these books, these readings really allow for us to know our history in a more balanced, honest way.
That man in the back there, he says women can't have as much rights as men because Christ wasn't a woman. But where did your Christ come from? Where did your Christ come from? He came from God and a woman. Man didn't have nothing to do with it. If the first woman God ever made was strong enough to turn the world upside down all alone, well, these women here together ought to be able to turn it back and get it right side up again. And they ask him to do it. And men better let them.
Okay, so that's just a flavor of one of the modules and what makes us uniquely Southern. We, in this particular module, took immigrants that serve on our faculty, and they actually narrate several women's history narratives throughout this particular module. All the modules are done like that. I just wanted to give you some statistics on, and I'm not saying successful or whatever, just plain statistics as of this morning, what's happening in this course. 690 new freshmen were enrolled this semester in the civics online exam resource. 152, which is about 22%, have attempted the civics exam and passed with a 98% pass rate. 41 students passed the civics exam without using any of this resource material. And I can tell because I have it marked, so 41. 108 students used the resource material and scored higher than the 41 that did not. 40 students are currently in progress of taking this civics exam, 6 of which tried to take the exam before they used the resources and failed. And so this is pivotal for us to know how to go forward and how this is affecting our graduation rates in 4 years. So this 22%, they've got 4 years to pass this exam. So I'll engage in any conversation or questions you might have. Anyone? Anybody want to get in here and try and see if you can take the test? You are welcome to. If you contact me and I'll put you and I'll give you the MDHE, and I know that's not the proper name anymore, but they do have credentials they've been in, and I'll be glad to give you those credentials as well. And we can play around and see what happens. Thanks for the opportunity.
Is there any other new business that needs to come before the board? Good. Okay, so the meeting dates, January 16th, next board meeting. Commencement, December 14th, who's the commencement speaker?
I can't recall his name. He's the Chief Operating Officer of Menorah Medical Center in Kansas City. He's one of our graduates. So
that's December 14th, 10 a.m. Mike?
Dr. Carson?
I'm sorry, I was looking at the January dates.
Commencement.
Yeah, 10 a.m. on the Saturday.
On Saturday, December 14th. Okay, good.
You know, the regular day, the regular Saturday. But only one, of course, in December.
Jeff Taylor.
Jeff Taylor. It's right on the tip of your tongue.
Well, it's on Dr. Schooler's tongue. He prompted me.
Jeff Taylor, and he's the
Chief Operating Officer at Menorah Medical Center in Kansas City. And played baseball here at Missouri Southern.
I knew those deans would come in handy for something today.
Every now and then.
Thank you all. Thank the 4 of you. Oh, I thank you for everyone for coming, but Wendy and the 4 deans, thank you for coming. We have need for a closed session, so I'll entertain a motion to go into closed session for this purpose. By statute, Missouri 610.021, parent 3, relating to the hiring, firing, disciplining, or promoting of particular employees by a public governmental body when personal information about the employee is discussed or recorded.
So moved.
Motion by Governor Oplotnik. Do I have a second? Second by Governor Richard. Laura, will you call the roll?
Of course. T. Mark Elliott.
Here.
Bill Gipson,
Yes.
Carlos Haley,
Yes.
Alison Hershewe,
Yes.
Mariann Morgan,
Yes.
Anita Oplotnik,
Yes.
Ron Richard,
Yes.
and Dr. Rosenberg.
Yes.
We will meet in room 343 for closed session. Thank you all again.
Three.